Good morning, I'm Claire Murphy. Welcome to the Solo Bureau. Remember when the Andrews government in Victoria said, sorry, we can't afford to hold the Commonwealth Games anymore? Well, guess what? Those games that they rejected move to Glasgow and get underway very, very early tomorrow morning our time. So we thought we would check in with an Australian swimming legend to see what we can find out about the stars of the 2026 Aussie team before they hit the pool, the track, the mat or the field. But first, let's do it. Here's what's been happening while you were sleeping, Thursday, July 23. The Northern Territory government has been criticised for what it claims as the most significant overhaul in a generation of its child protection system. 3 months after the alleged abduction and murder of Kumanjai little baby in Alice Springs, the Every Child Matters Bill was passed, abolishing the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children placement principle, which was in place to ensure that First Nations children removed from their homes were kept within their own culture. NT-Children's Minister Robin Cahill rejected suggestions from critics that the bill would make Indigenous children more likely to be removed from their families, telling the ABC 7:30 that there has been zero lowering of that threshold. She explained that it will actually make the department more accountable to the work that they have to do to keep those families connected and together. Secretariat of the National Aboriginal and Islander Childcare Chief Executive Catherine Little told AAP that the government is using Kumanjai little baby's death as political point scoring at the expense of Australia's most vulnerable children, claiming the things that contributed to her death were massive system failings. Opposition child protection spokesman Eastern Arrernte and Gurindji man Chancey Peach said all of his 30 amendments were turned down, saying the NT government would rather insult Aboriginal people than listen to them. Pauline Hanson is facing backlash from domestic violence advocates after saying it was a two-way street and that women should not put up with violence. She made the comment after responding to questions around her MP Barnaby Joyce, who'd said it was not cool to lose control. Asked to deliver a message to women who'd been hurt by their partners, she said it's wrong, but it's a two-way street, explaining that everyone was under a lot of pressure and that if you're not in a house where you feel safe and you don't want to be there, she said, then you shouldn't put up with it. Hanson has been accused of victim blaming, Social Services Minister Tanya Plibersek responding by saying, "We all experience pressure in life, violence is never the answer." Origin Energy is the latest Australian company to confirm they've experienced a data breach. The power company says it has notified the Australian Federal Police about the incident, claiming they don't believe the hackers have accessed customer credit card or bank details. There are reports other details, including names, addresses, dates of birth and phone numbers, may have been compromised. Optus joins a growing list of Australian companies who've been targeted by cyber threats. Qantas, Optus, Medibank, Latitude and recently Partnered Health have all been hit by hackers in recent years, with millions of customer details taken. 4 more tankers have had to change course in the Red Sea after Houthis in Yemen threatened the southern route out of the region. The Iranian-aligned Houthis threat to Saudi oil shipments heading south to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, passing areas of the coast that they control, in conjunction with Iran's near-total blockade of the Strait of Hormuz in the Gulf, has pushed oil prices to a near 6-week high. Since the recent re-escalation of fighting between the US and Iran, millions of barrels of Saudi oil have been heading to Saudi Arabia's Red Sea port of Yanbu each day to avoid the Strait of Hormuz. If tankers are stopped from heading through the Red Sea's southern Bab el-Mandeb Strait, they only have one other option, which is to go the northern route out via the Suez Canal, which adds weeks to the trip. President Donald Trump took to social media threatening to destroy bridges and power plants anytime Iran targets a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. A modelling scout with ties to late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has been found dead. Daniel Siad's name appears nearly 2,000 times in the Epstein files, which were recently released by the US Department of Justice. According to media reports, at least 5 women have accused the 69-year-old of rape and human trafficking. Siad reportedly denied the allegations, and his lawyer said he was never formally the subject of any judicial proceedings. Siad is the second man publicly linked to Epstein who's died in France. Modelling agent Jean-Luc Brunel was found hanged in his prison cell in 2022 after he was arrested in 2020 over allegations he trafficked women for Epstein. He denied the charges. Daniel Siad's body was discovered on Monday at his home outside Paris. An autopsy will be carried out to determine the cause of death. Aussie actress and director Rebel Wilson has been cleared of wrongdoing in the defamation case brought against her by fellow actress Charlotte McInnes. McInnes says that Wilson defamed her in social media posts that implied she was a liar and that she'd reversed her sexual harassment claim she reportedly made about a colleague on the set of Wilson's movie The Deb in order to further her career. She denied ever making the complaint, suing Wilson for general and aggravated damages. The judge advised that McInnes had failed to establish that the matter caused or was likely to cause serious harm, saying that while one of the posts conveyed an imputation about McInnes, it was not defamatory. McInnes was ordered to pay Wilson's legal costs. A representative for the actress claims she's appealing the verdict. The Prince and Princess of Wales now have a teenager in the house, with their son George turning 13. William and Catherine posted a happy birthday message to the second in line to the British throne on Instagram, along with a photo of the now teenager looking relaxed with his hands in his pockets. George is now heading off to a new school, attending Eton College, where his father attended as a boy. Those are your top stories today, team. Next, the Comm Games are about to kick off. What do you know about the athletes going this year? We get the lowdown on Team Glasgow with a very special guest. I'm not going to take too much time before I introduce today's guest to you, because we had so much to chat about when we got to researching this Glasgow Commonwealth Games Aussie team that today's going to be a little bit of a long one, but I promise it is chock full of amazing stories of athletic feats, resilience, weird history, and amazing human tales. That's TALES, not TAILS. Today's guest has a lot of accolades. 4-time Olympic gold medalist. She also has a silver and 3 bronze. 4-time Olympian, flag bearer for the Aussie team, 6-time Commonwealth Games medalist, world record holder, multi-world champion, mentor in her role as a support for retiring female athletes. She even has a fiancé these days. Or is he a husband now? We'll have to check in. She's also on a list of incredibly esteemed humans who've been interviewed by the legend himself, Andrew Denton. She likes it fast, and I mean that because she was a 100-metre freestyle gal. It's Cate Campbell. Kate, welcome to the Solo Bureau.
Oh my goodness, you know how to do your research, Claire Murphy. That is wild. You've unlocked things about myself that I had buried deep, deep down inside me.
Well, I'm hoping to tease some of them out of you, but we do have to check first. We know you got engaged. Did you get married?
I have not gotten married yet. The wedding is in 5 weeks, so it will soon be upon us.
So close,
but everyone
exciting.
Keep calm. Yes, it is very exciting. Fortunately, I know a thing or two about preparations and handling nerves in the lead up to big events. So in the big scheme of things, I'm feeling pretty fine.
Okay, I am so glad to hear that. And we do not want to encourage paparazzi to start stalking you, but I'm very excited that your wedding is imminent. So we're talking to you today because very, very early tomorrow morning, I think the opening ceremony starts Eastern Standard Time about 4:45 in the morning for the Glasgow Commonwealth Games. This is something you are quite familiar with, having gone to a couple of them yourself. Kate, what's the difference between the Commonwealth Games and an Olympic Games in as far as an attendee goes? Like, is it a vibe? Is it just that it is bigger and there are more countries there? Is it because there are countries that I imagine are incredibly jealous for not being invited to the Commonwealth Games? Like, what is it that differentiates between the two?
So there are actually a lot of similarities between the Commonwealth Games and the Olympic Games. They're held once every 4 years. You often stay in village environments. They're multi-sport events, which doesn't happen. Otherwise in the years in between, you have world championships or there'll be European championships for each individual sport. So athletics will have a world championships. The aquatic sports will have a world championship. The netballers will have a World Cup. The basketballers will have a World Cup. So all the sports are very disparate and have their own things going, except for at an Olympic Games on a big scale. And kind of how I describe the Commonwealth Games is it is a smaller, friendlier version of the Olympic Games, and probably the only time that other countries in the world wished that they had been colonized by Britain.
The only time they would have wished that upon themselves, right? Yeah, I remember thinking when I was younger, when there was talk about Australia becoming a republic, I think the only concern I had was that we would no longer be part of the Commonwealth Games, which I've been assured would not happen. We would still be invited, from what I can gather.
Yeah, so if we were going to become a republic, and I'm all for that, then we could still take part in the Commonwealth Games, which I think is really important. And I know that there's been a lot of chat about these games in the lead up to them because they should have been held in Victoria, and now Victorians are paying extortionate amounts of money for them to be held in Glasgow. But for a while, I was really worried that the games weren't going to get picked up and they were just going to die this little spluttering death where no one put up their hand and said, actually, I think that this is a movement and an event worth preserving. And there are a couple of reasons why I think it's really important. One, I think that it gives an opportunity for us to have multi-sport events, which is incredible. There is the inclusion of parasport in the Commonwealth Games, which doesn't exist in any other sporting context in the world. We have the Olympic and the Paralympic Games, but they run quite separately. They're sort of run 3 weeks apart. And logistically, it doesn't make sense to combine them. I'm not saying that we should do that at all for the Olympics and Paralympics. And everyone's really happy with them separate. But it gives some of our para athletes an opportunity to compete on the world stage at the same event, lift some of their profiles. But for our athletes, it's actually kind of a good first run at an Olympic Games. Because when you go and stay at an Olympics, there is so much to do. There are so many distractions, and your performance can be derailed by the fact that maybe you were a little bit too excited to visit the cultural centre and you spent too long on your legs, or you touched something that too many other people had touched and you'd gotten sick. And so it gives our athletes an opportunity to get that out of their system at something like a Commonwealth Games, so that by the time they go to an Olympic Games, they're like, oh, I know how this works. And you can see some really good parallels. You know, someone like Stephanie Rice, one of her breakout competitions was the 2006 Commonwealth Games. And then 2 years later in Beijing, she wins 3 Olympic gold medals. You know, Steve Hooker has a similar parallel, gold in 2006, gold in 2008. Melissa Wu was 13 when she first qualified for the Commonwealth Games in 2006, and she won a silver medal there.
Tiny little diver, in case you're wondering who Melissa Wu is.
Tiny little diver. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. I don't know why she's not more iconic. I honestly don't.
I think she is, but she could level up. I think she's a legend.
Yeah. And so there are so many of these parallels. And so if it had dropped off completely, I think that it would have been really, it would have been really sad for our athletes. But I think that our national pride would take a bit of a hit because, let's face it, we love doing really well on the world stage, and Commonwealth Games gives us a great opportunity to beat the Poms. And
yeah,
everyone loves that.
That is so
Shout out
true.
to all the Poms listening.
You have already brought this up. It was supposed to be held in Victoria. It wasn't because then Andrew's government said we just can't afford it right now. So Glasgow luckily picked it up. But it's not a full Commonwealth Games like we would imagine them to be. These have been pared back a little, and I did see some of the Australian women who were hoping to go for discus this year posting on social media that they would not be attending because there's just not enough spots on the team this year.
Yeah, so that is really sad that we are seeing athletes miss out on being able to go to their events. We're seeing sports being dropped from the Commonwealth Games completely, like something like hockey, which is very synonymous with the Commonwealth Games, is not going to be on the program over in Glasgow. It is a really scaled back, pared back program. However, I do... And I hate to say it, but I do think that something was better than nothing, in that we had to keep the momentum going because it's already been picked up by India for 2030. So we already know that date is locked in, and there's a location locked in, and it'll actually be the 100th anniversary of the Commonwealth Games happening in 2030. And so I don't think that we would have got to that next stage if we hadn't kept, the car limping along a little bit now. My heart goes out to any and all athletes whose careers and dreams have been crushed by this, because it is absolutely devastating. You have to dedicate so much of your time and energy and yourself to go and compete at events like this, and for it to be derailed by politics or, mismanagement, let's call it, is devastating.
Let's talk about some of these athletes. This is a reason why we're chatting today. I wanted to find some really great stories from the Australian Comm Games and Para Games teams. And There's just too many, Cate Campbell. Like, there are so many amazing stories of the athletes that are going to Glasgow right now. I want to know from you, though, who's caught your attention?
Oh, Claire, how long do we have? Because we could be chatting forever. There are just so many stories. Maybe I'll start with the swim team.
Okay.
My
People
baby
you know,
and,
yes.
and that sport.
Mhm.
People I know. Yes, this is my world. And I think that we have so many stories. We have someone who tends to fly under the radar. So I want everyone to remember the name Sam Short. Now, he won the 200, 400, 800 and 1500 meter freestyle at our
Whoa.
selection trials. I know, just like an overachiever. He is breaking records that are held by the likes of a guy you might have heard of, Ian Thorpe.
Oh, yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, that guy like rings a bell, right? But Sam has never really fired at a Commonwealth Games or an Olympics. He's won an individual world championship in the 400 meters freestyle, but got really sick in the lead into Paris and underperformed there, and he was a gold medal favorite. So I really feel like he is hitting his stride. So remember him. And then we have Cameron McAvoy, who is a sprint freestyle sensation who's revolutionizing the way that we train for 50 meters freestyle. He recently broke the world record, so we're going to be on world record watch for him. Then we have some really interesting stories of resilience from the likes of Molly O'Callaghan, who recently told the world that she has been training and competing with a fractured spine in her lumbar spine. She has a stress fracture there and bone edema. And the fact that you look at that, you get told by your doctor, no, I don't think that you should compete. And you say, oh, but I really want to. So I'm going to seek a second opinion and work with a bunch of medical professionals to figure out how I can do this, is phenomenal. And then, on the girls' side as well, you have someone like Lining Pallister, who is really, really going from strength to strength. She is going to be incredibly hot in that 400, 800 meters freestyle. I would say that we're close to looking out for a world record in that 800 meters freestyle from her. And her godmother is also someone who you might have heard of, Dawn Fraser.
Stop it.
Yes. Incredible.
Okay. That's some clout. All right. I want to shout out to Kaylee McKeown was supposed to be competing. I don't think she is, though. She ended up with glandular fever.
Yes. So Kaylee had to medically withdraw from the Commonwealth Games. She actually revealed that she was competing at the selection trials while she had glandular fever. So she still managed to win all of her events, post times that are very competitive globally, during having glandular fever. And then she sort of wasn't recovering, wasn't getting better. And Kaylee is about the toughest person that you will ever meet. Like, if you ever want someone to be a trainer and a workhorse, like, you pick Kaylee. And she just could kind of figure out that something wasn't right. She was like, this doesn't feel like I'm just tired or in a hole. So she got a blood test and has come back with glandular fever. And the risk, if you keep training and pushing yourself, is that it develops into chronic fatigue.
Right.
And then that is something that no one wants to deal with, and that would put her out for a long time. So she's at home, unfortunately, watching, I'm sure, very frustrated from the couch, but she's got a new puppy, so let's not feel too sorry for her.
Okay, that is something to look forward to. Comm Games or puppy, I don't know what I would look forward to most. Okay, let me tell you about someone who I have come across, Cate Campbell.
Please.
Shout out to Jackie Hudson, because not only is she competing at a Commonwealth Games as a 75-year-old, she is also a great-grandmother and she is vision impaired. She picked up lawn bowls like after retiring. So this is a recent thing for her, and she only did it because her husband Rob took it up as well when they moved to Port Stephens, my neck of the woods. And so this like casual hobby of Jackie Hudson's has led to her going to Glasgow to represent Australia in lawn bowls. So I am excited to see one of the oldest members of the Paracom's game team, Jackie, when she hits the green. Do they call it the green when you're lawn bowling?
The lawn? The green?
The lawn?
I don't know.
I am not sure. And this is the thing about Commonwealth Games and Olympic Games is we watch a whole bunch of sports we would never, ever watch outside of these particular events. And I'm really sad that hockey's not going to be there because I love watching hockey at these things.
I know.
Anyway, who else is on your radar?
Well, if we jump over to athletics, and I said jump with pun
I love
intended,
that.
we are going to be battling it out for the high jump. So we have Eleanor Patterson. She is the gold medalist from the 2018 Commonwealth Games. She was also the bronze medalist from the Paris 2024 Olympics. But she is going to be battling it out with another Aussie, Nicola Ollie-Slaggers. Now, Nicola was the silver medalist at the Paris 2024 Olympics. So they are going to be going toe to toe, which is really exciting. By the way, do you know how high they jump, Claire?
I've seen it on the telly, but I have no way of really comprehending in my brain how high that is.
Okay, so they clear 2 meters, which is higher than the average height of your door frame. So when you walk into your house tonight, the average door, I want you to look up above your head and imagine launching yourself over it. But, and this is what blows my mind, they launch themselves off 1 foot. When they do the run up, they turn around and plant their driving leg and then kind of use it as like a pogo stick to like shoot them in the other direction.
I will never look at my door frames the same way again after this.
Mind blowing. 2 meters.
That's
like I'm
crazy.
186 centimeters. I'm tall. They could clear me. And I think that this is just when you able to see some of these athletes perform at their very best and go toe to toe and really push each other, you get a real sense of how insane this is. I also want to give a real shout out to a guy called Matt Denny. He's a really good shot for us in the discus. And he's going to be throwing upwards of 75 meters, which
That's wild.
is just insane. But this is the first time he's going to be competing as a dad, and he lost his father last year. And so his son, Roman John was his father's name. So I think that if he does well, he's going to be able to dedicate that performance to his dad, and it's going to be a really special moment. So I recommend having tissues on hand because I think it could get quite emotional.
Okay, noted. All right, I would like to tell you about Daniel Boz. He is a men's lightweight division powerlifter. Now, why might he look familiar to you when he steps up to the bar? He is also an aspiring actor, and you might have seen him in things like Avatar: Fire and Ash or Spartacus: Home of Asher. He's in some blockbuster movies. This 29-year-old is, earning medals in other championships, and he's going to be stepping up for Australia at this Comm Games, which I'm really excited for him. Go, Daniel.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. One of the swimmers that I know, she was Charlize Theron's body double in the Mad Max because she has half an arm. So shout out to Annie Williams, who
Cool.
literally, isn't that the coolest thing to be able to put on your resume?
That is
You're like,
really cool.
I was the stunt double for Charlize Theron. Like, no biggie. Who is just probably the most glorious person in the whole world.
That is very cool. I also want to mention too, Jessica Hull is going to be running for track, and they've brought back this thing called the Miracle Mile or the Commonwealth Mile. It's a race that hasn't been at the Games for a very long time. But it was huge in the 1950s because there was an English guy, Roger Bannister, who was running against an Australian. John Landy is the Australian's name. So Jess Hull and Oliver Hoare are going to be running this different mile distance at this game. So it's going to be quite an event. And then back it up with another, I think, 5,000 meters or something that she's also doing. Like, endurance athletes are something else, like a whole other breed of human.
They absolutely are. Like, I think of that when I watch the race walkers, and I know that people maybe laugh at them because the gait looks a little bit unusual, but I 100% guarantee that they are walking faster than you can run. Like,
Yeah.
It is so fast. I think that they average for their kilometers, they average like 4 minutes per kilometer. Like, it is insanely fast.
See, that is the perspective you need, is to have like one of us normies running alongside them so you can understand how fast they're actually going.
100%. Oh my gosh, I'm just imagining me trying to launch myself over the pole vault. It would be embarrassing. It would be, oh my gosh.
I want to do a shout out to Lakeisha Patterson. So she's a para swimmer, and she only picked up swimming as part of like a rehab program, but around London 2012, she was Also told that she has early onset Parkinson's disease and epilepsy conditions that I imagine if any of us got any of these diagnoses separately, let alone on top of what she's already been dealing with because she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy not long after birth, would give up. But she is like, no, thank you, and is going to Glasgow to swim. I just feel like we have no comprehension of what is happening behind the scenes for some of these people when they step up to, a podium or a start line and understand the adversity that they've gone through to actually get there. It's wild.
Yeah. It's absolutely wild. And Lakeisha's nickname is actually Lucky, which I just think is so beautiful because if you looked at all the things that she has had to overcome in her life, you would say that she's probably not very lucky, but her attitude is what enables her to keep going and to keep achieving and to keep pushing. And it's so, so inspiring. I had not an Australian, but a young Scottish girl called Hope Gordon. She is missing one of her lower legs. She actually ended up having to crowdsource money to be able to get that amputated because she had a condition which was causing her so much pain. But the closing ceremony of the Commonwealth Games will be the 10-year anniversary since she lost her leg.
Wow.
And she's competing in the para weightlifting, but she has already competed at the Summer Paralympic Games in kayaking, the Winter Paralympic Games in Nordic skiing, and now she is going to the Commonwealth Games in para weightlifting. So she'll be the first person to compete in all three of those in 3 different sports.
Look, Kate, I don't want to cast aspersions on her personality, but I feel the word overachiever is quite applicable in this case.
Yeah.
Like, how does someone find the time and the dedication to get good at all of that stuff?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. And who gets really good at one thing and then thinks, you know what? I'm going to stop this and start something else. I'm going to stop being the best at this from scratch. And it just is mind-blowing. But Claire, do you want to hear my favourite fun fact about the Commonwealth Games?
Yes, please.
Okay, so at the first Commonwealth Games in 1930, they were the first people to introduce a medal podium.
Oh.
Yes. So we all stand on podiums because the Commonwealth Games introduced that in 1930. We think that the Olympics invented that, but no. The Olympics copied the Commonwealth Games in 1930, and that is why we stand on podiums and not just in a row or on the ground. So there you go.
Okay, I love a history lesson, but I want to end on one not so fun fact, and that is that at the Glasgow Commonwealth Games, there's no athletes' village.
It is so, so sad. So the athletes' village is the best part of a Commonwealth Games or an Olympic Games.
Oh, come on. You've won gold medals. You're telling me the athletes' village is the best part?
It honestly is because you get to meet and mingle with athletes from all over the world, from all different sports. Everyone is in their absolute prime. Everyone, once they've finished their competition, is ready to absolutely let off some steam. The final night when the closing ceremony is happening, it doesn't matter whether you've won, lost, done a PB or absolutely bombed out. You want to let off some energy. And so it is wonderful to be able to celebrate with a group of people who know exactly what you have been going through. No one needs to say anything. We all just feel each other. And then to be able to wander around and see some of your absolute sporting icons and heroes. Like Usain Bolt used to stay in the Commonwealth Games village. And just to be able to see him strolling around is incredible. And being able to eat together and socialize, it is the most unique aspect of a Commonwealth Games. So it's sad that they're not going to be able to get that opportunity over in Glasgow. There just wasn't enough time to source that because they have to find accommodation for 4,000 athletes and officials, and there's a lot of beds.
I also will miss those fun photos of gymnasts standing next to basketballers.
Yes.
It's also always one of my favourite shots from any kind of Comm Games is the biggest next to the littlest.
Yep.
And that's not going to happen this time around. They're staying in hotels and other accommodation around the city because I guess building an athletes' village in the time frame that they were given was not quite achievable, and we absolutely understand that. And Glasgow, thank you for picking up the slack where Australia let everybody down this time around. Until then, we're off to Scotland tomorrow morning. Cate Campbell, thank you so much for giving us some of your faves from this year's Comms Games team. We'll check back in with you as the couple of weeks progress and just see how we're doing.
Absolutely. And guys, please set your alarms. Please get up and watch these athletes. They pour their heart and soul, their blood, their sweat, their tears into their performances. I feel like the least we can do is roll out of bed, roll onto the couch with a cup of tea or coffee and turn on the TV and cheer them on. So,
and then say how easy that looks, and we could totally do that ourselves. So my best friend is flying up from Adelaide tomorrow so that we can watch the Commonwealth Games together. We met while we were competing as gymnasts when we were about 10 years old. Competing against each other fired us into this inseparable team that now just likes to sit on the couch and watch the gymnastics on the telly together. And this weird thing happens. Sometimes we have these involuntary muscle twitches while the gymnasts are mid-routine. It is so weird. It's like our brains are so wired into putting ourselves on the mat or on the beam or on the vault or whatever as they're doing their thing that our bodies are like twitching, ready to go. It's so strange. So enjoy these Commonwealth Games. We will check back in with Cate to see how we're travelling. But thanks for taking some time to hang out with Cate and I today. I'll be back with a state and territory wrap tomorrow. I'll see you then.